We're going to do a quick video walkthrough of the app experience. So it sounds like we're going to have one tour guide and 9 tourists as user types for the shared experience. And so what's going to happen is the employee, the tour guide, if you will go into each device and get them set up so that every time the app is open, it will default um, to this screen right here every time somebody opens the app. So to do that, what's going to happen is the tour guide will put on the headset, he'll select tour guide, and he can save it or cancel to go back to this screen, and or he'll go in and select tourist and save that to the device. So the device in its persistent storage is going to remember the type of user that it is. This makes it easy for clients who would come in and put on the HoloLens to just be ready to go, seeing this screen, and the tour guide would be able to say, find the piece of paper and to sync up. And so they'll look around and they'll find the piece of paper with the Xylem logo on it, and that will log them in. And so first what I'm going to do is show you the tour guide's experience. So the tour guide will choose tour guide, he'll save it to the persistent storage, he'll sync it up using the piece of paper in the middle of the table, and what it'll do is it'll initially place the model. From there, the tour guide will be able to either cancel to go back out, to restart the placement process. He'll be able to click the resize icon, the move icon, the rotate icon, or the check mark to continue and go forward. And so in this example, the tour guide selects resize and then uses hand gestures to increase the size of the model. Then the tour guide can either use a pinching gesture or look back down at this and to untoggle it, or go to the check mark and select advance once they have the model where they would like it. So this will help fine-tune exactly where the model will be placed. Once they click the check mark, they'll be presented with a screen that will show how many tourists have joined the experience. So this is a good time to show you what the tourist will experience. The tourist will, when they put on their HoloLens, because the tour guide has already set up the devices to be in tourist mode, they will initially see this upon opening the app, and they will look at the piece of paper on the table as the anchor, and it will log them in. They'll see the outline of where the model will be, and then it'll have a heads-up display saying joined, please wait. And so the tour guide, once this tourist has seen this, the tour guide will now see one tourist joined. And as soon as the number of tourists that they have, like let's say there's 2 people with them wearing HoloLenses, once it hits 2, they'll click begin and it'll take them into the experience. Now, this is the toolbar that the tour guide will see during the experience. The tourist will not see this. The tourist will be able to interact with points of interest, but they will not see this bar. The tour guide, because they've affixed the model where it needs to be, at the angle it needs to be, at the size it needs to be, will no longer be able to change the size, shape, or location of the model. The experience is now what we would call live, and now they are in interaction mode. They'll be interacting with the model. So the tour guide has the option of either clicking the X, which will exit the tour. They can choose yes or no. Or they can click the menu, like let's say somebody shows up to the tour late, or God forbid a HoloLens battery runs out in the middle of an experience. We have the option of them being able to invite tourists in, and so everybody else the other tourists will still be looking at the model where it was placed. They'll be experiencing the model, but the tour guide will be out essentially bringing in the additional tourist into the experience. And so it'll reinstantiate the syncing mode where they see the 2 tourists that currently exist. The other new tourist will be back up, looking at this screen right here, and they will be able to join, and so it will tick up to 3 let's say in this experience, so the third person's now in, and the tour guide can now click begin to rejoin with the tourist, with the 3 tourists now instead of the 2. If they click the plus button from scene 1, it'll toggle them into that 0.8x. This will turn gray where it's inactive, and this will turn blue. At that point, they'll be able to click minus to zoom back out to 1. So they'll be able to toggle in and out at 2 fixed zoom levels, or they can click the next button. So the scenes are going to work like this. It'll be scene 1, which is all the way zoomed out. When they click the next button, it'll take them to that smart water treatment zone. In scene 2, it'll be scene 2, zone 1. Then this will be blue, so they could go back out to scene 1. So it's essentially scene 1, scene 2, zone 1, scene 2, zone 2, scene 2, zone 3, and then this turns inactive, and this is blue, and then it can go all the way back out. So those are the 4 navigational pages, if you will. Like if it was a website, it would be 4 pages where they can go in and out. And at any time in any of the zones, in scene 2, they can click this X and it'll take them out to scene 1. They touch it again and it then presents them with that exit option that we saw before. This is so that there isn't any confusion. It's to present a clean and cohesive, logical flow, a tour, if you will, through the smart water city experience. This is to curate the story, if you will, so that everybody's on the same page and along that channel. So let's say the tour guide, so this menu here in this instance is just like down here somewhere. And let's say the tour guide or one of the tourists hovers over a building. They can pinch to select, the pinch gesture to select, and an info card will pop up above that item and it'll stay highlighted. As I've mentioned before, if a tourist does this, this shows up, but if the tour guide selects another building, this will minimize and an info card will appear above the tour guide's selected object. So everything defaults to the tour guide as the priority 1 and the tourist as priority 2. When the tour guide deselects or dismisses his info card, any currently backgrounded info cards will pop back up for the tourist. So this way everybody's following along with what the tour guide is showing them, but yet still has a level of interaction on their own. And then I have one more screenshot here just kind of indicating what a play button would look like. So for these visualizations, we're kind of looking at a modular display that will have the option for images, videos. We could use the same format for audio. We could use the same format even for like a 3D object that would just rotate in place so they could see all sides of that object, and for text. So it could be one image, it could be one video, it could be one image up here, text down here, but the idea is no matter what the content type, it should be able to fit in a modular way on one of these pop-up visualizations above a point of interest. So that is the user flow. Basically, if you have any questions or concerns or anything like that, obviously reach out. But this kind of gives you the idea of what that experience would look like.